Okay.
Hello, fellow board gamers. This is Marcel, your Lord of the Games. Normally, I always publish my videos in German, so give me 2 seconds to address this German-speaking guys. Hallo, ihr Brettkarten- und Tabletop-Spieler. Mein Name ist Marcel. Ihr kennt mich als Herrn der Spiele. Heute müsst ihr aber auf Deutsch verzichten, denn ich habe einen Gast, den ich jetzt gleich vorstellen werde, den lieben Scott, der ausschließlich Englisch spricht. Insofern heute Englisch only, aber ich freue mich über jeden von euch, der dabei bleibt, denn das Video ist sehr interessant. Es geht nämlich um NEXUS Arena Combat System. Hello, Scott. It's nice to have you here.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, for me it's a pleasure too. We were talking for months meanwhile, and I have a big box board game from you. It is here. Probably some people see it. Otherwise, I will definitely link my numerous videos for you. You are the man responsible for NEXUS Arena Combat System.
That is the truth. You speak the truth.
So, NEXUS Arena Combat System, this is one of my favorite games this year. It's hard competitors like Cthulhu Wars, Pax Pamir, Terrorscape, and there is NEXUS Arena Combat System. This is definitely the kind of game I love to play more and more, because this is a merry trash poor and a positive way where we take on the roles of futuristic lannistas working on a space barge and telling our Helots, which are kind of space gladiators, to run down there, go over here, throw our opponent after grappling and throwing him in the floor spikes and something like that. This is really bloody combat, and yeah, we have some awesome mechanics in the game which are very easy to understand, but in the sum they make up a cool gameplay, like the credit system and the kind of way we have the turning point system. Scott, how did you come up with the idea for NEXUS Arena Combat System? Because this is a long journey.
Yeah, it's a very long journey. It actually started for me in late elementary school, early middle school.
Wow.
My friend Jason and I used to play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, but we didn't have a group to play with. So we would have to alternate. One of us would be the dungeon master, the other one would play through the campaigns that the other person made up. It was fun, but I don't know if you've ever tried role playing with just two people. It can get a little bit stagnant. So what we did at the time is we came up with a gladiatorial arena fighting game, and we kind of took some of the combat mechanics from D&D, and we made items and weapons and made a combat system for us to fight in an arena, and we called it, like, Bloody Roman Gladiator Champions or something like that. So then fast forward to about 8 years ago, Jay took me out to lunch and we had a conversation about revisiting that game and actually sitting down and really putting some thought into it and making a version of that for people like us. We each have 3 kids, full-time jobs. It's hard to find time to game, but we really do like the imaginative aspects of role-playing and things like that. So we wanted to make something where you could kind of sit down, beat each other up, have a good time, explore your imagination with the violence and the combat and things, and wrap it up within an hour and a half or so. So that's kind of where the inspiration came through. Then from that point, it was making it all make sense and building a world where you could engage in this kind of activity without feeling like a terrible, horrible person. Instead, we came up with feeling like a terrible, horrible alien, which kind of removes you from the situation a little bit.
Okay, and now last year you did run the successful GameFound campaign, and you delivered your products now. I think they are delivered all over the globe, correct?
They are. They're delivered all over the globe. We checked pretty much every country on the planet. There is at least one person out there playing NEXUS.
Okay, so you got the big core box containing the 4 Helots, which are for the motivations. You have 8 lannistas, and the system itself. I always tell people when they saw all the material and so on, oh, do not wonder, it's really easy to learn. It's just a lot of mechanics. So you have the initiative system, you have the ratio, the trade dice, you have the eerie command panel and all these hazards and obstacles. And I always think that the game itself, it evolves around the way we try to play it. So you can just start playing it. You do not have to teach a lot of it because it's really, really easy to learn. And it doesn't matter too much if your Helot gets damaged. But this is what the game is about. We, as a lannista, we want to please the crowd.
Yes. Yeah. That's the ultimate goal, is to make the fight entertaining, no matter what that does to your actual Helot that you have out there. I don't know how familiar everybody is with Don King and Mike Tyson, but that was always my analogy at conventions. Is Don King was a big fight promoter over here who famously exploited Mike Tyson throughout his career. And that's kind of your role as a lannista. You really don't care about Mike Tyson. You don't care what happens to him ultimately. You're just trying to increase your own fame and fortune. So the arena's indiscriminately trying to kill everybody while all that's going on. I have a friend, Grayson, who described the game as a very sandbox mechanics. And I thought that was a very good analogy, where you have this core system that's pretty easy to figure out. You're basically just spending action and movement points and then figuring out your initiative. But there's a lot of other things that can happen, and you have a lot of options and things available to you throughout the game. Lots of random events, lots of different things happening, and it really does create this like sandbox environment where each game becomes a story unto itself.
Yeah. Before we continue talking, do we want to show something from the core game? We will talk about the legacy later. Do you want to share your screen now?
Sure. Let me do that.
Okay, so what we see here, Scott, is the campaign where I participated, and 533 lucky other backers too. And of course, we here in Germany, we are familiar with this lannista system because I think there are many Spartacus fans. We all watch the HBO series. I keep playing the Gale Force 9 board game, where of course the only important thing is to please the crowd to become a famous lannista. And probably this is very important for the legacy book. But let's talk about the core game now.
Yeah, so the core game, we basically turned it into a one-shot kind of board game with miniatures, where you have 4 different Helots that you can choose from. You see there's quite a few components here. We've got this frame that goes around the board. One of the things that's off-putting for some people are all these coins that you see around the frame. So those coins are actually used to track health, and we did this to eliminate pen and paper from being part of the game. When you're doing damage to the other Helots, you're actually receiving those coins as cred, which is the ultimate victory condition at the end of the fight. So rather than subtracting from someone's health pool and then going through and adding to your cred pool, you're just removing the coins, handing them across to the other players, passing them back and forth. Crowd actually has their own coin pile as well.
And let me tell you that this is one of the aspects I really like most, because the coins are multi-used for, you told it, they are for the hit locations, they are for the overall damage, they are for your victory points and for the crowd. And the table presents with all these eerie command panels, it's really, really great. We can talk about the pre-painted miniatures now. Yeah, keep on, please.
Yeah. So everything's pre-painted in the box. This was one of the early things that we for sure wanted in the game. Again, coming from a background where we have kids and we have jobs and we have responsibilities and we want to sit down and we want to play. I love miniatures. I absolutely love miniatures. I very rarely have the time to sit down and paint. As much as I love the hobby and I love the people that do the gorgeous work that they do with miniatures, I personally generally don't have the time. I also don't want to stare at a bunch of gray plastic on my table when I'm playing games. I look around at my kids' toys. They all come pre-painted. why can't my toys come pre-painted too? So that was one of the big reasons that we chose to go ahead and do this. For people that do enjoy the miniatures and do enjoy that hobby aspect of it, we do have everything available in resin as well. We also have STL file downloads so people can print them and paint till their heart's content. We're definitely not excluding anybody in that hobby. But out of the box, off the shelf, we want people to just make sure the game hits the table and they can start playing.
That's a great decision, I think, because the first thing, people always keep buying board games, and then they have the gray plastic miniatures, and some of them say, oh, let's paint them first. No, let's try it out, but I won't want to try it with gray plastic miniatures. So you told it. You just open the box, you have the plastic trays, and every saw, every spike trap, every pillar, every miniature becomes pre-painted. And I have to tell you, do tell that the company that did it, it's a great paint job. For me, it's a great paint job,
Yeah.
and personally, I wouldn't do it better.
Yeah, I have seen I've seen some crazy stuff with some of the people that have gone through and painted some of our resin minis, but I have to say I was extremely impressed with the quality of the pre-painted minis that Long Pack did. They were my manufacturer. I'll give them a quick shout out here. They did an amazing job with the game and getting it as close to what we envisioned as possible. So these here, you can see these are the resin painted miniatures. These are what the Long Pack pre-painted minis were based off of. And let's see if I can get to that point here in the campaign page. All of our media stuff. I think at some point I had the pre-painted. You know what? It was in the original campaign page.
Yeah, but I think people can have a look at probably my video or other videos where you see the pre-painted miniatures. And of course, it's not that good than the miniatures you showed us now, but it definitely works and they look really, really good. And most of us don't paint better, I think.
So here we go.
Yeah.
So these are the pre-painted that come out of the box.
Yeah.
Which I think look really sharp.
Definitely.
Especially the metallic effects that they have on the floor spikes and such.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the material I talked about. Table presents. Today I think we will not talk that much about the gameplay because people want to watch my upcoming video next week in German, and probably there are some English speaking videos. If you have a YouTube creator which provided you with a good English-speaking video, send me the link. I will put it in my video description. Just to be short, there is this setup where you pick your lannista. You showed it. You pick your helot. The helot are asymmetric. You kind of set up your barge with all these obstacles and hazards. You have these one-time influence cards where you bribe probably the crowd, something like that, and then we play with these very easy mechanics. You just roll the ratio die, you roll the trait die, and then you just decide movement, action points, and the crowd awards you for cool situations. The crowd damages you with stones, something like that, if you just keep standing in the corner and wait till the fight is over. And then you can do everything you like to. You can push the braziers, you can throw somebody in the spikes or at walls, and it's everything up to you. It's a great gaming experience. And there you see these awesome metal coins, and I really miss the metal coins. I have the plastic coins. I think the metal coin, I need to have them. And some props, I told you, but probably I will link. I will definitely link your page because I think you did a cool video series on all the rulebook. Yeah, it's really nice to learn the rulebook. The rulebook is there you see a video. The rulebook is really great. It's everything you are looking for is in the rulebook, but the way you teach it, really, really great.
The other thing, just while we're talking about the rules real quick, is the NEXUS knowledge base is something else that I'm very proud of with the game. So anyone who's done any kind of video game or IT stuff, you're familiar with knowledge bases. This is everything that is in the rulebook and everything that exists out there for Nexus, all contained in this site. So let's say you were looking for clarification on something with the floor saws.
Wow.
You could literally just type in floor saws there, and you can search. If my internet would, there we go.
Wow.
And then boom, floor saw. It'll take you right to the page. You'll see a video here queued up to where floor saws start. And then here's all the rules from the instruction book about floor saws.
Yeah.
And for those of you out there who speak German, you can just use Google Translate, and it'll automatically translate everything, all the information that's on the page here for you. It may not be perfect, but it's it's better than I can do at this point.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I always consulted my rule book, which is cool, I think. And we watched the videos, but this knowledge base, up to now, I did not use it, I have to admit, but I will link it in the video description. There will be many links, I think. So everybody can look it up if needed. Okay, that's really great. But now, Nexus is the core game. Do we want to show us some more models? Because we just have 4 of the Helots, but you do offer many more, which I did present in an unboxing video from now on. They are resin models. You do offer new hazards. You do offer new Helots. You do offer a Barge Beast, something like that. Do we want to talk about that? A minute?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So these are the resin miniatures here. You can see they're all fairly big. So these aren't 32 millimeter models. These are all, anywhere from 60 to 120 millimeters. And they're very high quality. The resin miniatures are actually hand sculpted by Roberto Chadown, I believe is how you pronounce his name. I always type it, I never say it. But he is an amazing sculptor. He hand sculpted all of these miniatures, put beautiful details into all of them, and then I actually had him go back and digitally sculpt them all again in ZBrush. So if you have an STL printed file of a Nexus Mini and then you have that same Mini in resin, you're actually going to notice subtle differences between the two, because they're actually completely different sculpts, but both by the same artist. So these are all of the alternate motivations. One of the key things, one of the driving forces behind what we did, and the reason that we have Helots have different motivations and they don't have classes, is because we wanted to have them vary greatly and let people really use their imagination and use whatever they wanted in the Nexus, right? You actually may have miniatures in your other games that you want to bring into the Nexus and have them fight. We wanted to encourage people to do things like that. Take your other minis, put them up against these monsters, knock yourself out.
Yeah, but I think you will not want to use other minis, because I will link the unboxing videos of these resin miniatures. I already said that the pre-painted look really, really good, but these models, there's the Barge Beast and the Creature Pit. These are the enormous miniatures. Probably we will talk about them in a second. But the resin is definitely high quality. You have to assemble it, yeah, but it's not that many parts. I don't know, do you have to wash it? No, it's washed. It comes washed.
No, you should definitely wash them. Wash the minis when you get them. Yeah, they're very raw. So my experience with resin minis, we're not necessarily a resin mini first company, so I was learning a lot as I went, kind of as I've done throughout the whole process of making Nexus. But we found a very experienced resin casting company in Wisconsin here. They did an amazing job with stuff. But yes, you do need to wash them. I highly recommend you wash them before you assemble them. The other is the People's Champion.
Just with soap or something like that? Wash them with a soap?
Yeah,
okay.
Just with soap.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just soapy water would be fine. The other thing that I would recommend is the People's Champion, this guy right here.
Yeah.
As you can see, this flag up here is pretty weighty, and it's all resin. So over time, if my internet will ever load, there we go. So over time, if you leave this resin bar, this will eventually kind of weigh down and start to sag. So I definitely recommend pinning this piece, or maybe even replacing it with a little brass pole when you assemble him.
Okay.
But he is a beautiful model.
Okay, so the last word for the resin minas is the two big bosses. I call it the Barge Beast and the Creature Pit. They are no Helots. How do you work with them? What purpose are they for?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit on that last question. What
Okay.
were you asking?
I will repeat. These are all the Helots, the motivations you can play, but there are these big bosses. I called them the Creature Pit and the Barge Beast. What purpose are they for? How do you use them? You can play them.
So these are what we call hostile entities, which you will find in the Barge Arena. The Barge Beast will actually use an AI deck to stomp around and randomly try and kill all the Helots involved in the fight. And the Helots can take it upon themselves to try and take the Barge Beast down and then finish each other, or see if they can survive and take everyone else down while the Barge Beast is stomping around out there. The Creature Pit is a little bit more stationary, but definitely no less dangerous. Also has its own AI deck with cards that are going to come up throughout the course of the fight, and it increases the chaos, and it definitely adds to the fun, and it really takes the table presence to another level as well.
All about
One
chaos.
One of the things I like about the Barge Beast is he's one of the only things that can actually knock over the pillars and remove some of the unmovable objects.
Oh, I did not know that up to now. So, as you already mentioned, you can order them. We will talk about the upcoming campaign in a few minutes. You can already print them via these STL files. And then you were talking about the card decks. All these resources you need to play them, the Helots and the motivations and so on, you can download them in your store, correct?
Yes, you can go to the store. There's a free downloads section. And when you get here, you're going to see all types of resources available to you. You can download STL files. Now, these STL files aren't supported, and they're pretty raw. In the coming weeks, I'm going to have a My Mini Factory site where everything will be supported and much more professionally done for people to download and use. I'm super excited about that. But you can even download the game components here. And the dice, the coins, the tokens, the action menus, the cards. These are all set up as PDF downloads for you to download and print. I've even been experimenting, as you can see here, with black and white printer-friendly versions of the cards for people who don't have a color printer, or they don't want to use up all that ink. They can download them here and print them off just on regular 8.5 by 11. Standard pieces of paper. But yeah, we try and make everything very accessible for everybody to play.
Great. And what we talked up to now is just the core concept on the game, because now I would like to talk more about what is coming next, because we were talking about the oneshot NEXUS arena combat system, and I don't know, I know that really good, but what I don't know a lot about is the Legacy book, which is coming now. Can you show us more about that, please? Okay, now what we see here is the 255-page Legacy Edition book from NEXUS, and I told you, Scott, that I did play over 30 matches of NEXUS. Do you think I qualified for the Legacy Edition now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's up to two. It's definitely going to be more than 255 by the time
wow.
This is all done. It's still a work in progress. There's sections that are still being expounded upon. One of them in particular is the pit boss section, which I'm super excited about. So, Yeah, so the biggest thing that you're going to have is this is really going to kind of immerse you into the world of Nexus. This is going to be very rich with lore and flavor. I was very heavily inspired by Blood Bowl. I played a lot of Blood Bowl back in the day, and that whole mood that you get into, right, as you as you kind of sink into the world and you get into the mindset of these characters and what they're doing. This is going to expound a lot about the history of the Dverse and the Nexus itself. It'll have the basic information that's always been out there, but further in the book, for those that are interested, it's actually going to go through the whole history of the Nexus and how the Gnomes discovered it and how it became what it is today, which is a lot of fun and a fun read. But the main things that you're really doing with this Legacy Edition is you're going to be treating your lannista like you would like a D&D character. Your lannista is going to start to level up. You're going to start picking your own skills. You're going to start deciding what your management style is actually going to be and what kind of advantages you want to give yourself throughout the course of these fights. When you play the box game, you've got the 8 Lannistas, and it's already decided how much deception and influence and command that they have. But as you're building your Lannista, as you're growing your Lannista, just starting out in the Nexus from nothing, you're going to be picking these skills as you achieve each prominence level. So if you look here, this will give you an idea of what your character sheet, your Lannista character sheet will look like. It's not overwhelming. A lot of this is actually just flavor stuff. The essential stuff is just all right here and right here. You're going to be tracking your wins, losses, and your win streaks. You're going to get different bonuses based on things like that. But what's really going to matter the most to you is that cred. Just like in the game at the end, cred is how you win. Well, cred is how you're going to achieve prominence in the Nexus. And you're going to think of your cred like your experience points, right? So once you collect enough experience points, then you're going to rise in prominence. And as you rise in prominence, you're going to do things like increase your influence, increase your deception, increase your command. You're going to have Lannista skills that you can choose from. Some of them may give you discounts in the D-Mart as you're getting equipment or cybernetic implants for your Helots or bioengineering Helots. Once you get to a certain prominence level, you can actually make Helots from scratch by working with the gnomes.
Wow.
So essentially, you're going to play the game as you always have, but you're just going to get more control as far as what you're going to do with your Lannista character. That Lannista character is going to persist with you as you play. You're going to keep track of how many bits you win, and you're going to use those bits to buy Helots. You're going to use those bits to buy equipment for those Helots. You're going to use those bits to bribe barge captains. Basically, like you would in any RPG, you know, with any kind of coin or currency you have, you're going to use that to flesh out your character more. You'll always have a troop of 3 Helots because you're registered as a Class C Lannista. That's good for no more than 3 Helots. And when your Helots die during the Barge Arena bouts, they're gone. When they're gone, they're gone. They're no more. You will get some bits from the gnomes because they're always interested in collecting whatever biomatter is left. So you'll get a little cash from that, usually enough to buy a very low-grade Helot to replace the one that you just lost.
Yeah.
But your Helots are also going to level up themselves, right? So while you're collecting cred so you can rise in prominence, your Helots are going to be collecting reputation so they can rise in fame. So let's see here. This is just some examples of, you know, what is a Lannista? Like, what do I look like as a Lannista?
When
whatever you want. Whatever kind of crazy.
Yeah, there was the one page where I saw the Jabba the Hutt inspired Lannister, the former page I saw. Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, very cool concept. But oh, that's really a lot. You have the stats up to now in the normal arena combat. You just have influence, deception, and command, and now you have much more than
Hmm.
skills. The healers rising up. That's really promising. And of course, everybody loves Blood Bowl. And now this is some kind of Blood Bowl, the RPG travel to space, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very similar. So you're not commanding a whole team. It's just your one helot that you're commanding around. But the idea is the same, right? You're not in total control. You're trying to influence what that helot's doing. You're trying to tell it what to do. It doesn't always listen. It doesn't always do exactly what you want it to do. Sometimes it fails, but that's okay because there's more where that came from. You can always get more. Um, the other thing that's going to happen with the Legacy edition are these helot traits are going to start to mean more.
Aha.
You're going to start to see the willpower, instinct, deafness, physicality, swagger, and cunning are going to start to have more of an effect on the helots, especially as they level up. Um, we'll go through. You're going to have your standard motivations, which some of these are in the base box, like the famished, the hoarder, the supremacist, and the zealot. But you're also going to have some other standard motivations, such as the bloodthirster, the criticure, the people's champion, and the sadist.
Mm.
And they have their own trait advantages and special talents. Uh, just like the ones in the box. As you get more prominence as a Lannista, you're going to open up the advanced motivations.
Cool.
These are going to have, they're going to start with a lot more traits. Some of the traits will actually start at 2 with these. They'll have a little more powerful special talents and skills and such. And then as you rise to prominence level 3, you'll have the ability to actually engineer your own helots. And these are just going to be whatever you want for the most part. You'll be rolling those trait dice, and they're going to assign random traits to the helot that you have created. So there's a chance that your helot could have 3 swagger to start every fight, right? Or 3 physicality to start every fight. They'll have that in the bag just walking in.
Everybody that
Along
already
with
played Arena knows that's a huge advantage if you have already some traits ready because you can react to what the enemy does and so on. That's really great. But when we are talking about all of this, Arena, the combat system, is not a game that wants to be fair. Everybody knows that.
no.
But here in Germany, people keep asking me, how is the game balanced? And I keep laughing and say it's not a fair game. But now, one question comes up while you're talking. If I play with different people, and there are some people playing Arena, the combat system, twice a month, and others play twice a year, can I play with a Lannista who did have 2 sessions? Or will I just beat him to ground? Is there some balancing, catch-up mechanism?
Yeah, so when there's far too much luck in random events to really have a very hardcore advantage. Obviously, if you have a very well-seasoned Lannista and he is going after a Lannista that is just starting out, they're going to have it. They're going to have an advantage, right? Just like your level 20 warrior in Dungeons and Dragons would mop up a rogue who's just starting his first campaign. That being said, there are reasons for you not to put your best fighters against something that isn't going to draw you a lot of fame and reward, right?
Ah, okay.
There's a reason that you don't put your all-star boxer against somebody with absolutely nothing to lose who's just starting out in boxing, right? Because something horrible could happen, and you've got all this time and invested in this champion, and this guy hasn't even really earned the right to be in the same match with him. And you're going to find a lot of mechanisms like that, and a lot of reasons not to.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have that trope of 3 helots. You're always going to have a new helot that's just starting out that you're going to go and put him up against, or it up against, whoever's new in your group and just starting out as a lannista.
Okay. Now come all the Helots, yeah. Most of them you already know. The Arisian miniatures, Critiqueur, and so we have them already seen. The Famished is in the core box, yeah, great. The Hoarder is also in the core box. People's Champion is the one with the flag, yeah. Yeah.
So these are all the different basic motivations. Then we get into the advanced motivations. These actually don't have miniatures sculpted for them yet. This is something that will be worked on in the coming year. The book is about a year ahead of the resin. The resin is about 2 years ahead of the boxed versions.
Wow.
And the STL files will probably be the most current things that we'll have out. So the flow goes, we do things as an STL. We let people, download them, kick them around, test them out. We do them in resin. Same thing, because it's a much smaller production run. I don't have to invest $100,000 to get molds and things made to get it out there. I can just spend a few thousand to have the resin cast and then distributed to people. And then once everything's all fleshed out and everybody's happy with the way things are, that's when I'll do the big box expansions and release those for the masses.
Great.
So this is the Helot character sheet. You'll see that you'll be marking off the different traits. You'll be able to pick special talents, unique trait abilities. You'll have equipment such as cybernetics. There'll be bioengineering, which will give them certain powers, hopefully, if everything goes well. You're going to have insanities. So as your Helots are getting injured throughout the course of these bouts, they may not die, but they may walk away with a 1,000-yard stare or some type of PTSD. And those insanities will be listed here on the sheets. You'll also have bonuses and penalties depending on your equipment and different things. Your basic Helot is going to have similar health levels to the ones in the one-shot big box. But one of the reasons, one of the things people had asked me over the years is, why are there all these extra coins in the box? Well, that's so you have room for these legacy editions where possibly they're going to have a higher head value or upper and lower limb value, chest values, and things like that. It's actually going to fluctuate a bit in the legacy version.
I see you did plan it on the long run. More characters,
Yes,
more
absolutely.
boxes, and now I know why so many cred coins. Great.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime project for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is it. This is the game that we're doing. We're not looking at the next game and the next thing. We've got so much more to do with Nexus over the years. This is something that's going to continue to grow and be developed for a long time to come. We've got years and years of ideas and expansion upon expansion of ideas for this.
German and Lannistas here in Germany do appreciate that.
You're also going to have armor values. So some of the damage that is done will actually be absorbed by the armor, and the armor will have wear and tear on it. So it will kind of dissolve throughout the course of the fight, just like anything else, right? Like if you have a big piece of plate armor, once it gets whacked a couple times with a weapon, it's going to be all but useless. So it's going to work the same here in the Nexus. You'll also notice that the dominant trait bonuses that we have here, they also come with penalties. So having 2 or more willpower is going to give you a bonus to your overall, but it's also going to make it so you can't use command tokens on that Helot. So as the characters become stronger, they're also going to develop some weaknesses as well, and this is going to further kind of balance some of the higher end characters against the lower ones. Now, special talents, unique traits. Uh, you've seen those on the back of the character cards in the big box version. There's 4 of them. So each character, I believe, has 2 unique traits. So there's 8 unique traits total, I think, in the box, and then there's 4 special talents. As you can see, there's a laundry list of them to pick through as you get into the Legacy version. There's lots of ways to kind of make your Helot unique from the other Helots.
This is the asymmetry, what I talked about. As a new player in Arena, you have to learn what the Helot wants to be played, the way it wants to be played. For example, the Supremacist is the one who wants to grapple and throw and grapple and throw, while the Zealot wants to be where blood is. Yeah, he wants to walk on the blood and wants to push people on the blood, and there is a way to play each Helot, and that's really cool to learn how every Helot wants to be played.
Yeah. And once you get that down and you dive into this, you can start customizing your Helots and experimenting with different styles. It's a lot of fun. It opens up and definitely adds a lot to the replayability of the game. So we also have ads. You're going to see different ads for things in the Legacy Edition to try and drive home the themes of the environment in the game that you're playing. You'll also find all the rules for the game in this Legacy Edition, so you don't have to dive between multiple books. We got everything all rolled up in one book. You're going to have different things that are going to be part of the setup. For example, the INC officers are going to randomly raid some barges. So you'll roll on a raid event table to see if anything happens before the fight even begins. Sometimes they can steal your bout purse. They can confiscate your Helot's weapons. Lots of different things can happen before the fight even starts.
So it's like the turning point cards in advance.
Exactly.
Like these kickoff events in Blood Bowl, the kickoff events.
Exactly. So, but this was going to go through all the rules in the game. I'm further clarifying some of the things that have come out since the game's release. Different things that may not have been immediately clear to people. I'm still going to have all the QR codes here, which will take you right to the videos of me walking you through those sections in the manual. But that's basically this section of the book here.
Yeah.
Then
this is what I am familiar with. Yeah.
Right.
The post boost.
Let's see here.
This is new again.
Okay. So this is cleanup and repair. So with this, we're looking at like your injuries, right? So right now when the fight ends, if your Helot had an arm at 0, it's whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Well, when it's actually your Helot and this Helot's going to persist and fight again another day, you're going to have to spend bits to repair that arm. You're going to have to spend bits to heal and take care of your Helot and their condition. Or you can choose not to. You can be cheap and send this Helot into the next fight with an arm that's only got 6 hit points left in it if you wish to. It's completely up to you and what kind of lannista you want to be and how you want to treat your Helots. When you have your heads or your chests get down to 0, well, then you're going to have surgery on that Helot, and you're going to roll dice to see what happens with that Helot. Now, sometimes your Helot may develop an insanity, and you'll have to pick an insanity on the insanity table. Essentially, what an insanity does is it takes away an action point every single command round from that Helot. But the way it's played is instead of just taking away the action point, your Helot's actually spending that action point looking for spies in the audience because it's schizophrenic or something like that.
So here we have this situation again, similar to Blood Bowl, where we can pay for the medic and roll, and then you have the big troll missing twice, the regenerate roll got lost, and then the medic got lost, and everybody is screaming, and the troll you were leveling for months is dead. Okay, great.
So, one of the things that does open up for you is once your Helot loses an appendage, you can actually get it fixed. You can reinforce it. You can get cybernetics, or you can bio-augment it. And that tells you to refer to the DMART. Wow. So this is the random insanity table for... Then, let's see here.
I can have a necrophile Helot.
So this section kind of goes into how your Helot increases its reputation and fame. So in the game, you know that when you do something like gloat, if there's no coins in the crowd pile, well, you can't draw any coins from that. Well, in the Legacy version, you have what's called the blood stream, and you can think of that as like the ESPN of the Nexus. So there's the crowd there, but then there's all the crowds watching at home on the blood stream. So those things that you would normally not do in a fight in the one-off game, you would do, because you're going to do that for all the fans watching at home, and all the fans watching at home are going to help your Helots level up much quicker. And these are just different things, and how you can get rep by doing different actions throughout the course of the fight to get yourself some extra reputation on the blood stream.
Reminds me a bit of Triple Edge and Shawn Michaels with all the millions in attendance and at screen. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So with your Lannista's credibility and prominence, that basically all comes down to your Helot, what your Helot's doing in the fights, what you're doing to assemble cred in those fights. That's just like in the box game. That's all you essentially care about to level up as a Lannista, is by gaining those cred coins throughout the fights. Your biggest thing is going to be getting your Helots to certain fame level milestones. Getting a Helot that reaches fame level 2 is going to give you 100 cred gain bonus. The first time your Helot reaches fame level 4, you're going to get a 300 cred gain bonus. You get cred gain bonuses for winning streaks and different things like that. If you're involved in a bout where a Helot dies, that automatically doubles whatever cred you earned from that bout. And it doesn't matter which Helot. It doesn't have to be your opponent's Helot that's killed. It could even be your Helot that's killed. Because again, those are the types of things that the crowd's going to react and read about in the paper, right? Somebody could win a bunch of races in a row, but they'll never be more famous than when they drive their car into a wall, right? So it works the same way in the Nexus. So as we were talking about before, you've got different things that you're going to be rewarded as your prominence level of your Lannista starts increasing. You're going to have Lannista skills where you can get discounts on items in the DMART. You can access items you're not supposed to that maybe you don't have the level to. You can increase your Helot's fame level just because yours is so high. Lots of different skill rewards as well as the stat rewards as you're leveling up. And then we get to the DMART. And the DMART is going to be where you're going to buy things like weapons and armor for your Helots. In the box game, you had a limited amount of weapons. With the Legacy version, it's going to open up weapons and armor and actually make it a more integral part of the game. We dabble with it and just start to kind of get you used to the idea that maybe these Helots can be equipped in the box game, but we actually take it full tilt in the Legacy version. You're going to have weapons, you're going to have ranged weapons, you're going to have armor. Your weapons are going to have durability, your armor is going to have durability. Things are going to be breaking out in there, and it's going to be expensive. So you're not going to want to take a little helot that doesn't really know what it's doing yet and put it in all the best gear. You can't anyway, because the merchants and the D-Mart aren't going to let a nobody wear their branded gear. So certain gear has level restrictions, fame level restrictions before your helots are even allowed to wear it in a fight. Now, we go into the armors a little bit. The cybernetics, this is where things get a lot of fun. So you can choose, like if a helot's missing a limb, like I said, you can choose to have cybernetics installed, but none of that is without risk. When you roll to have your cybernetics installed, it could be a failed installation. It could be a half-assed installation where it's not as good as it should be, and then you can also have successful installations. You have different tiers of cybernetics. Cybernetics need to have like base chassis components for certain things, and you'll see all that spelled out and explained here in the rule book. It's going to have the costs for the cybernetics. It's going to have your cybernetic ratios, because your helot can only have a certain percentage of its body cybernetic, and each cybernetic has its own value that it's going to add to that. They have repair costs. They have surgery types. Pretty fun, detailed stuff for you to do with expanding your helots there. Same thing with biomutations. Biomutations, you're going to have a results table that you're going to roll on whenever you experiment with biomutations on your helots. You could have an unexpected negative result, an unexpected positive result, or you could actually have the expected result that you were after. And you have different tables that are going to show you what ends up happening, as well as a price list for the targeted things that you're shooting for. Then from there, we get into the barges. So we've always had lore behind barges, and in this one we have kind of our 8 most popular barges and their captains. So these are going to be laid out. You're going to have schematics laid out for the barge, and then you're going to have different notes and special instructions for these barges, right? Some of them cull the turning point card deck to just a few cards. Some of them tweak the way the hazards work a little bit. Some of them have different random events that are going to be happening when you're fighting on those particular barges. They've all got backstory where we talk about the barge captain, the distinguishing features of the barge, and then a short little history about the barge. And we've included 8 of these barges here in the Legacy book for people to kind of play through. This was always one of my favorite. This is the crowdsource barge. It was supposed to be the greatest barge ever, and it was completely crowdfunded and ran by volunteers, and pretty much nothing on it works as intended. And, yeah. But then, like I said, we have all the different barges. We've got the creature pit. We've got the toxic waste barrels. A lot of these use the newer hazards, the expansion hazards in them. The way the toxic waste barrels interact with fire is a lot of fun, which is why we put the braziers next to them in this one. The foo barge. This is where the Barge Beast resides. And then again, we go through some of the things that are in the original rule book, but we add upon it. So we've got new tiles, which are the toxic waste tiles. These are going to mutate the helots like within the actual fight. These are temporary mutations that happen throughout the course of the fight. We go through all the hazards one by one. We talk about the braziers. We've got the crates, the weapon crates. We talk about the dart columns and the dart column effects table and how that works. We even put in here the dart column Barge Beast effect table, because the darts affect the Barge Beast differently than they do the Helots. The floor saws, floor spikes, the toxic waste barrels. These have their own mutation card deck. When they ignite with the fire, it actually ignites and creates explosions and chemical burns, which are burns that cannot be put out by stop, dropping, and rolling. You just got to deal with it. Then we have the hostile entities, which is the Barge Beast and the Creature Pit, and all the rules. So all the rules for everything in one central location. We get back into the lore. So this goes into the history of the gnomes and the history of Nexus and how everything got to the state that it's in right now, which is just a lot of fun flavor text to read and great artwork by Mike and Danny. This is the part that I'm probably most excited about in the book, and this talks about being a pit boss. So being a pit boss in Nexus is basically being a neutral party that isn't involved in the bout. Okay, so you can have a pit boss in a 2-player match. You can have a pit boss in a 4-player match. It really doesn't matter. It's just you're that neutral third party. And that offers a lot of fun to be had in this kind of sandbox system where you can create your own turning point cards. You can create your own hazards. You can create your own barges. You can even come up with your own equipment. You can have alternate objectives during the fight. You can have things like booby traps because you have somebody that can monitor which squares people are accessing, and you've got that neutral third party to keep track of it. It's also nice just to have somebody kind of overseeing the cred games, helping track the barge hazards and the order of execution and different things like that. So this section that you see right now is just kind of a two-page spread, but the content that we've developed for it right now I think is sitting right at 18 pages, where it has just heavy examples about how to do and have a whole lot of fun in this sandbox system with the pit boss. Then from there, we've got some more flavor stuff, which is just kind of like the Hall of Infamy, which is some legendary Lannistas, legendary Helots, some of the legendary fans, barge captains, cleaning crews, just more flavor stuff. And then at the end of the book, I am going to put a little section in where we're just going to show off some of the artwork that's been done for Nexus over the years, because I am just a huge fan of these artists that have worked on the project and all the work they've done to kind of bring the world to life and just inspire people's imagination, right? Because again, this is a big expansion from the core box, but we're really just getting started with this thing and all the places that we want to take it and all the things that we want to do with it.
You say just a big expansion. Scott, normally I'm not the one who is searching for words, but this time I'm a bit speechless. This to me, yeah, really to me, this seems to be the Nexus Bible. Let's call it the Nexus Bible. How many years did you work on that book?
So, I mean, this book has been... You were around for our very first campaign on Kickstarter.
Okay.
And I know you've been watching us for a very long time.
Yeah.
And this was the very first version of the game that we were going to try and put out there, right? Like we were trying to explain all this, plus all the mechanisms of the box game, and the resin and just all the different things. It was wildly ambitious. I think it was very undigestible at the time. So this is what we originally intended to do with the game. And through years of going to conventions, play testing, turning people onto the game, kind of came to the conclusion that we needed to do it in more bite-sized chunks.
Yeah.
So we we made the board game experience, and we were like, okay, well, what's the core board game experience? What's the core stuff we should put in there? Let's only put in 4 Helots. Let's limit some of the obstacles and the traps. You know, let's make it fun. Let's make a really fun core box where people can get the gist of it. And then once they've kind of digested it and we've whet their appetite, let's lay everything else on them.
Yeah.
So that was the goal and the plan. And that's where this legacy book is kind of coming from. Is it in some ways it kind of completes the initial vision of what we wanted Nexus to be. With all of the legacy stuff. And you know, me talking to you about this, you're familiar with the game. You can kind of see all the fun that can be had and how this opens the game up for you. But you can imagine if we were just talking about Nexus for the first time, how hard it would be for me to lay all of this on you on top of everything, you know, in that core box, right?
Definitely, yes. Scott, do we want to stop the screen sharing and have a final talk in big screen?
Sure.
Okay, Scott, final talk. No questions left so far. I think these were a lot of informations, and I think you nailed it, that the decision to release the core box with these few healers first and always obstacles and hazards, because it's a board game you can play at least 20 to 30 times with different people. Every single match will work differently, and now people know it. These people, probably there are people that don't like it, but most of the people I played it with, they love it and they want to see more and they want to delve deeper in that universe that you designed. So as a Nexus nerd, I urge you to launch the campaign as soon as possible. Can you tell us when the campaign will be online for the Legacy Edition?
So the campaign is going to go live on July 25th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I think that's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, that we're gonna bring it. So hopefully a lot of the people that got on board for the boxed game will be back for the expanded rules edition. I know a lot of people are excited about the big box expansion with the pre-painted Barge Beast and all of that, but years of doing this has made me very realistic about looking at our crowd and looking at our spread and our publicity up to this point. And I know we're not quite ready for that big, huge expansion box yet. And I'm very excited about bringing this legacy book out. It's a little tiny goal that'll help spread the word about the game to everybody a little bit more, and make sure that next year we can come strong and get that big box with the Barge Beast and the Creature Pit and all the rest of the hazards and Helots in it.
Okay, what is left to say for me? You definitely have your number one fan here in front of the camera. Definitely, I enjoy Arena, the combat system, a lot, and I will continue playing it with all these beautiful resin minis as soon as I assembled them and painted them, and I can't wait for the campaign, the Legacy campaign, to start. I really urge everyone to try out the game and to follow the campaign. Personally, I will upload another video after this one where I will show in German language the game in full. I will see if there are some English-speaking reviews online. Probably you will link them to me, which I can put in the video description. Thank you, Scott, for your time. We were talking for over an hour now, and I think you have some curious fans out there who will appreciate everything you talked about. This enormous book with all these opportunities, the legs, the arms, cybernetics, biomutations, and how my Lannister evolves. This is really great, and definitely we share the same dream. Because I, as a 42 years old man, I was playing MUTs, I was playing Blood Bowl, and I was evolving my teams, my star players. Now I have my Helots, and this This is the perfect crossover between a skirmisher game and now an RPG adventure. Thank you for all of that work. That's really great for me, and I think I'm speaking for a community here.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and it was absolutely my pleasure. I love talking about Nexus, so whenever you want me to talk some more, you just let me know.
Okay, great. I will definitely be my guest soon, I think, Scott. So I say good night to the community now. And yeah, happy to have you back. We'll see us next week in the campaign.